Welcome to this explainer. Right off the bat, if you can, just take a quick moment to settle in. Seriously, let your shoulders drop away from your ears, lower your pitch a bit, and just let your jaw unclench. We are purposefully creating a calm, entirely unhurried space right now. It's a safe, reflective distance away from the noise and the absolutely relentless pace of the daily grind. For the next few minutes, literally nothing is required of you. Nothing is being measured, and you're totally off the clock. Okay, so let's dive straight into the elephant in the room. We aren't here today to rehash that tired old debate of whether AI is coming for your job. What we're actually here to explore is something way deeper, and it's this. Who are you when the tasks stop being the point? You know, some of us absolutely love these new tools. Some are just kind of curious, and honestly, some are quietly really afraid. And I want to validate that by saying all of that is completely okay. I want to reassure you right out of the gate, this explainer is a space to think, not to perform. Think of it like a workshop for your mind. Whatever surfaces here belongs completely to you. You don't owe anyone an answer, and you certainly don't need to prove your value to us. Your value already exists, no strings attached. This is simply a place to just be. Let's jump into Section 1, the neuroscience of you and discovering the studio. So to really answer our big question, we've got to look inside. How are our brains actually built to handle this exact kind of identity crisis? Well, back in 2001, a neuroscientist named Marcus Rachel noticed something completely unexpected in his imaging studies. See, when people were given focused tasks, certain localized areas of their brains lit up, right? Normal stuff. But when people were told to just rest, to do absolutely nothing, a completely different, massive, and highly active network suddenly came online. It's wild, but your brain actually consumes almost as much energy at rest as it does when you're doing advanced calculus. Literally just staring at the ceiling burns up about 20% of your body's entire energy supply. Rachel called this the default mode network. It activates not when we're working, but when we finally stop. Doing nothing isn't laziness, folks. It's actually your brain's internal studio firing up. Neuroscientists actually refer to this as the self-network, and for good reason. When you aren't grinding through tasks, your brain doesn't just shut off, it gets straight to work. It actively organizes your autobiographical memory, archiving the whole story of where you've been. It intensely imagines your future, basically stress testing different scenarios of where you might go. It engages in deep self-reflection, and it makes meaning out of all your random daily experiences. In the quiet, it literally, constantly assembles the story of who you are. Now, I want you to consistently anchor yourself with this metaphor as we go through this. Think of task mode as the stage. It's where we perform for the world, the emails, the reports, the endless Zoom meetings, the constant output. But your default mode network, that is the studio. And the studio is where the actual material gets made. It's where your identity is uniquely, painstakingly formed. And here is the absolute crucial point. While AI might take over parts of the stage, sure, it can generate, summarize, calculate, and draft, it can never, ever step foot inside your studio. Why? Because AI simply does not have a lived life. It doesn't have an autobiography that it's trying to make sense of. It doesn't have a future it desperately hopes for, or a fragile self it is building, or a reason any of this even matters in the first place. Your ultimate value isn't your output. Your value is completely bound to your lived life. All right, moving to Section 2, the machine wins. Taking a look at the precedent of May 1997. We actually aren't the first people to face this specific fear. Let's pivot back for a second to a historical moment when humanity felt this exact same quiet terror about a machine encroaching on our unique intelligence. I want you to picture the incredibly moody, heavy, almost suffocating atmosphere of May 1997 in New York City. The media circus was absolutely massive, flashbulbs popping everywhere, IBM's stock price literally hovering on the outcome. Garry Kasparov, the greatest chess player alive, the highest-rated human in the history of the game, sits across from IBM's supercomputer, Deep Blue. The world was watching as if human intelligence itself was on trial. And then, Game 6 happens. In just 19 moves, Kasparov was defeated. The machine won. He put his head in his hands, and the entire world collectively felt the emotional weight of a piece of technology taking over something we thought belonged only to us. But, and this is the best part, the story didn't end there. Kasparov could have easily become bitter, right? He could have shrunk his identity to avoid the pain of change. Instead, just 1 year later, he completely refused to be replaced. He didn't ask how to defeat the machine. He asked what becomes possible if humans and machines actually play together. He invented advanced chess, which later became known as centaur chess. It's this revolutionary format where humans and AI team up to play against other human AI teams. Talk about a massive paradigm shift.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 3, Hybrid Intelligence, Redesigning the Relationship.
This redesign of the human-machine relationship is exactly the shift we are all being asked to make right now with generative AI. Kasparov's ultimate formula emerged from these centaur chess tournaments, and honestly, it shocked everyone. Get this, the strongest chess grandmaster with the absolute best machine didn't automatically win. No. A weaker human player using an average machine, but with a profoundly better process, could consistently outperform a stronger human player with a weaker process. So the ultimate advantage isn't raw intelligence, and it isn't having the most powerful tool. The real advantage is having a deeply human process.
Process is what makes us different, because process requires things only a human has. It requires judgment, real genuine care, nuanced taste, actual presence. It's knowing when to slow down like a snail to examine a tricky problem, or using a compass to trust your gut when the map fails you. It's that distinctly human discernment to sense when an answer is technically correct according to a cold algorithm, but emotionally entirely wrong for the human situation right in front of you. And above all, it's about holding responsibility for the final outcome. It really all comes down to this core truth. The machine can calculate, but only the human can care what the calculation is actually for. Hybrid intelligence means we don't use AI to become less human or to numb ourselves out. We use it to fiercely protect and amplify the parts of us that truly care. The machine provides the immense scale of calculation, for sure, but your humanity provides the unwavering purpose. All right, on to Section 4, reclaiming your studio and protecting the room inside the day. Before we start talking about reclaiming our time, I want to invite you to break the fourth wall with me right now. Let's tell your nervous system that you are totally safe in this moment. We're going to do 3 unhurried rounds of the physiological sigh. Ready? Here we go. Take a deep inhale through your nose, then grab a tiny top-off breath at the top, and let out a long, slow exhale through the mouth. Good. Again, deep inhale through the nose, grab that little extra air at the top, and let it all out slow. One last time. Deep inhale, top off, and a long, relaxing exhale. Just notice your shoulders. You are safe. You're ready to think clearly. Think about all the crazy, world-ending technological shifts you've already survived in your life. From the wild arrival of the early internet, to the explosion of social media, to the smartphones that completely rewired how we all connect and live. Through all of that massive change, you still maintained your core self, didn't you? You didn't need an algorithm to tell you what colors moved in or what music made you feel alive. You survived those shifts, and you are going to survive this one too. To reclaim your studio right now, we're going to use a simple 2-part framework. First, we dig. And this requires some radical honesty. What parts of your work are you actually grieving losing to AI? What did you learn about your self-worth before you ever learned about your work? You have to dig down to the root of your identity. Once you deeply understand what you're afraid of losing, then you build. You intentionally choose which tedious, soul-crushing tasks to pass off to AI, precisely so your studio has the time and the energy to reopen. So, here is my challenge to you. I want you to carry this specific prompt into your daily life this week. Every single morning, just ask yourself, what is uniquely mine today that no machine could ever care about? Maybe it's the specific empathetic way you listen to a struggling coworker, or maybe a messy creative decision that only your lived experiences could inform. Actively, fiercely protect just 10 minutes a day for your studio. And remember, small answers count. The studio stays open through repetition, not perfection. And finally, Section 5, you are still you, returning to yourself. As we wrap up this explainer, remember this: insight without a witness is just a rehearsal. Every profound change in human history is held and stabilized by a small circle of people. So I want you to go tell one person today what you have decided to reclaim from the noise. Name someone who sees the real you beneath your work and share this realization with them. Let the fancy titles and the performance soften for a bit. You are not only what you produce. I want to leave you with this anchoring mantra. Say it quietly to yourself right now. I am still me, and I always will be. But as you step back into your day, I challenge you to wonder about this. If you strip away every single task you do, what uncharted territories of your mind are waiting in that studio to be discovered next? The answer to that might just completely redefine your future.